Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for our third regular Senate session. Today is Monday, February 26, 2024. It's exactly 10:50 in the morning. We apologize for the short delay. Before we proceed with our business this morning, may I please ask everyone to rise for a short moment of prayer. Thank you, and please do put your telephones on silent mode. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Babalta,
Present.
Senator Cruz, Madam President,
Here.
Senator Hofschneider, Senator King Neighbors, Senator King Neighbors, Senator Magofnia,
Gaya.
Senator Manglonia Donald,
Present.
Senator Manglonia Paul, Senator Mindiola,
Here.
Senator King Neighbors,
Is on mute. Is on mute.
Here.
Madam President, all 7 members are present, 2 absent.
With 7 members present and 2 absent, we have established the necessary quorum to conduct our business this morning. And may the record reflect that Senator Carl Neighbors is joining us via Zoom this morning from the island of Tinian. And also excused from this session today is Senators Jude Hofschneider and Senator Paul Manglona. At this time, we move on to item B of the agenda under public comments. If there's anybody that would like to make a comment on any of the agenda items, please proceed. You have 5 minutes to state your comment, and do provide us a copy if you have a written comment so that we could make it part of our session today and the entity that you are representing. Thank you.
Good morning, Howdy, Antiro, Madam Senate President, Ms. Edith De Leon Guerrero, and honorable members of this Senate Legislative August body. Mr. Oscar M. Babauta is out on medical leave, and we wish him well throughout his ordeal for a speedy recovery. For the record, my name is Jean Paul B. Regis, Acting Special Assistant for the Administration under the Office of the Governor. On behalf of Governor Arnold I. Palacios and Lieutenant Governor David M. Apateng, I thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I am here to extend the administration's appreciation and express our gratitude to you, Madam Senate President, as well as to your Committee on Senate Executive Appointments and Government Investigations, Chairwoman Selena R. Babauta, and members, for the time and effort you all put into reviewing and examining the appointment of our nominees on Standing Committee Report 23-72 and number 23-73. This morning, you'll be entertaining the nomination and reappointment of Ms. Glenda S. George to serve as member of the Healthcare Professional Licensing Board and Mr. Francisco M. Robaliman to serve as Secretary for the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs. And for these reasons, the administration asks for your favorable consideration. Your untiring effort on evaluating our nominees is extremely honored as the administration pursues to complete the vacancies for all boards, commissions, and department heads. Again, Madam Senate President, and to you, honorable members of this full esteemed Senate legislative body, Governor Arnold I. Palacios and Lieutenant Governor David M. Apateng, extends their sincere appreciation for your understanding and generous consideration on behalf of our nominees here today. Thank you, Jesus Mosi Angeliso.
Jesus Masi, Mr. Regis, for your comments this morning. You may hand over your written comment to our Sergeant at Arms. We are still open for public comments. If there's anybody else that would like to make a comment on the agenda items this morning, you may do so. Okay, we are officially closing this section of the agenda this morning under public comments. Before we move on to item C, for the viewing public, we are live on cable TV channel 23 and also live on the Cinema Legislature's YouTube channel, which will be shared on the Cinema Legislature's Facebook page. And also assisting us this morning is our Senate Legal Counsel, Jose Bermudez, Senate Clerk Dolores Bermudez, Senate Legislative Assistant, she's off island, she's excused, Senate Journal Clerk, Chanel Borja, thank you for your assistance. Our IT Assistant, Delbert Camacho and Jonathan Diaz, and also our Sergeant at Arms, Benjamin Terlahi. Thank you everyone for assisting us this morning. Moving on to item C of the agenda this morning under reading and approval of the journal. I recognize now the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, we have Senate Journal 23-26, first day, third regular session dated January 16, 2024, on our agenda for adoption and approval, and I move for its adoption.
There's a motion to adopt Senate Journal number 23-26 and has been seconded. Any discussions from the members? All those in favor say aye. Nays? Senate Journal 23-26 is hereby adopted. Moving on to item D, messages from the governor. Clerk?
Madam President, we have 5 on our agenda, 23 to 38 to 242.
Any comments from the members? None. Item E, communications from the judiciary. There is none. Communications from the heads of executive departments. There is none. Communications from the House. There is none. Communications from the Senate. Clerk?
Yes, Madam President, we have 7 on our agenda, 23, 383, 389.
Any comments from the members? We're good? Okay. Item I, communications from the Washington Delegate's Office. There is none. Unfinished business. There is none. And if there's no objections from the members, I'd like to move on to item M to confirm the nominees this morning. Reports of standing committees. I now recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Under item M, we have 3 standing committee reports for adoption. First is Standing Committee Report number 23-72 from the Committee on EAGI, reporting on the executive reappointment of Dr. Glenda S. George to serve as a member of the Healthcare Professional Licensing Board. Members, I move for its adoption.
Do I hear a second? There's a motion to adopt Standing Committee Report number 23-72 and has been seconded. Any comments from the members? Recognize Senator Selena Babauta.
Jesus Mosi, Madam President. Dr. Glenda S. George was nominated on December 15th, 2023, and her confirmation hearing conducted by the EAGI took place she was nominated on December 16th, 2023, and her confirmation hearing was held on February 16th, 2024. Dr. Glenda S. George has been involved with this board since 2016. She holds a doctorate degree from Seattle Pacific University. And ever since her involvement with this particular board, the Healthcare Professions Licensing Board, she has made great strides to update and improve the local healthcare professional licensing regulations to meet national standards. She is a licensed clinician here in the CNMI and previously in the state of Washington, and is in good standing. She has indicated during her hearing that she would be more than happy to continue her work that she has started since 2016, and therefore the EAGI committee petitions the Committee of the Whole to adopt Senate Standing Committee Report 2372 to confirm Dr. Glenda S. George. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Babauta. Any other comments from the members? None. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Babauta?
Yes.
Senator Cruz?
Yes.
Senator King Neighbors?
Yes.
Senator Magofnia?
Hungan.
Senator Manglonya Donald?
Yes.
Senator Mindiola,
Yes.
Madam President.
Yes.
Madam President, all 7 members voting yes.
With all 7 members voting yes, Standing Committee Report number 23-72 is hereby adopted and confirms Dr. Glenda S. George to serve as a member of the Healthcare Professions Licensing Board. Congratulations. Recognized floor leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Next, we have Standing Committee Report number 23-73 from the Committee on EAGI, reporting on the executive appointment of Mr. Francisco M. Rebalaman to serve as Secretary for the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs. Members, I move for its adoption.
There's a motion to adopt Standing Committee Report number 23-73, and it has been seconded. Any discussions from the members? Recognize Senator Selena Babauta.
Mrs. Mossy, Madam President. Mr. Francisco M. Rebalaman was nominated to be the acting Secretary of DCCA on January 5th, 2024, and his confirmation hearing was conducted on February 16th, 2024. Mr. Rebalaman holds a bachelor's degree from Cali Polytechnic State University, and his vast experiences throughout our government are too many to list, but some of the short listing of his managerial and executive positions that he has held include senior policy advisor at the Office of the Governor, administrator of the Bureau of Economic and Coastal Quality, executive assistant of the Carolinian Affairs, among others. His experience makes him a well-rounded candidate and qualifies him for the position he has been nominated for. Therefore, the EAGI committee unanimously supports the confirmation of Mr. Rebalaman at this time. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Babauta. Any other comments from the members? Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Babauta,
Yes.
Senator Cruz,
Yes.
Senator King Neighbors,
Yes.
Senator Magofia,
Ngan.
Senator Manglonia Donald,
Yes.
Senator Mindiola,
Yes.
Madam President.
Yes.
Madam President, all 7 members voting yes.
With all 7 members voting yes, Standing Committee Report number 23-73 is hereby adopted and also confirms Mr. Francisco M. Rebalaman to serve as the Secretary for the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs. Congratulations. Short recess, please. We are back from our short recess, and we're still on item M of the agenda, and I would like to recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Last, we have Standing Committee Report number 23-74 from the Committee on Fiscal Affairs reporting on HB number 23-95, HS1, to repeal and reenact Public Law number 23-12 and for other purposes. Members, I move for its adoption.
There's a motion to adopt Standing Committee Report number 23-74, and it has been seconded. Any comments from the members? Recognize Senator Selena Babauta.
Thank you, Madam President. There are several issues I have with this bill. Primarily, it does not identify the projects for the $2 million loan to the municipalities. And I have made this argument previously in the committee that I think it should be identified now in order to mitigate unintended consequences, with related to the diversion of funds should the municipalities get the loan. And then also under page 7, line 17, under item I, transactional documents. This includes an assignment of income, promissory note, and it can only be availed of once the line of credit can only be availed of once these documents have been satisfied and submitted. And it further states that the LOC is only to be used for CIP approved projects, meaning previously approved projects, or designated projects for bridge financing, which is the EDA projects. This requirement does not apply to the $2 million loan for the municipalities. Additionally, on page 8, line 5, under section J, and bear with me, I'll read it. The Secretary of Finance and the Office of the Governor shall issue a quarterly summary MPLT loan report, which shall be a financial statement detailing the activities of the CNMI government as to the CIP project advances and status. The MPLT loan report shall be submitted to members of the legislature, all members, the Office of the Public Auditor, and the Office of the Attorney General, and a copy to MPLT. Where is the accountability and reporting requirement for the $2 million loan for the municipalities? This section does not apply to the loan for the municipalities. And page 8, line 11, section K, it's the authorization or to defend and hold harmless and indemnify MPLT. I know it is out of my lane, but I don't know how MPLT can agree to this, because if any individual or individuals sue MPLT for exceeding the loan cap established in the Constitution by their actions in extending the line of credit, that the central government will cover the legal expenses for MPLT. However, it does not apply to the loan, $2 million loan for the municipalities. So again, that's for MPLT to decide, but I'm just stating that concern. It also proposes a loan for CRP projects in Tinian and Rhoda, so that their projects can move forward. And while that may be beneficial for the municipalities, there is no guarantee that environmental impact concerns will be a part of the consideration, because the loan is to move projects quicker than it currently is right now. With all these red flags, there might never be an EDA project to speak of in the future, because this bill includes future EDA projects. And those are my serious concerns. Why wasn't there any accountability inserted for the municipalities on the $2 million loan? Whereas for the EDA projects, there's all these stringent requirements from reporting to documentation, but there's nothing that holds the municipalities, to their word on the $2 million loan for their projects. That's all I have for now, and I yield.
Thank you, Senator Babauta. Any other comments on the Standing Committee report? Recognize Senator Dennis Mendiola.
Thank you, Madam Press. And I just to add, it's something that I've been thinking about since we probably missed it, but on page 6, line 15 and 16, I think we should just strike out MPLT. MPLT agrees to additional drawdown, and the reason for this is that we're talking about ensuring that the drawdown gets paid. I don't think we should allow for the trustees to supersede or circumvent the 30-day process of repayment. So if we decided that 30 days before any additional drawdown is made, after 30 days, that's when they have to retire that initial drawdown. Then you can draw down after that. The problem that I'm seeing here is that if you read the line, it kind of circumvents that 30-day requirement of the drawdown, because it says that either 30 days or the MPLT trustees agree. So it's kind of circumventing that process. Thank you, Madam Press. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Mendiola, for your comment. Recognize Senator Donald Maglonia.
Thank you, Madam President. And just to address some of the concerns brought up by Senator Babauta, I think we've been working on how to incorporate some changes, and I believe Senator King Neighbors has some amendments to propose, and upon discussing the amendments between the two districts, one of the requirements that we're proposing is to allow for the districts to set up that agreement with MPOT in terms of how to pay or what resources we can use to leverage, because the government can't defend the municipality. So this is an agreement between the municipalities and MPOT, and so the municipalities will have to, if taken to court, we can be sued separately from the government. We don't get representation from the AG, and so that's why we kind of kept it separate, in the sense that if an agreement were to be made, it would be between the municipalities and MPOT, and then this can only be done through an agreement that is passed by both respective delegations. And so before moving forward with the loan, of course, all these matters will be addressed in the agreement. However, this bill basically authorizes that the districts can avail to this loan of $1 million each. But I'll leave that to Senator King Neighbors to address in these proposed amendments. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Donald Maglonia. Recognize counsel.
I just want to clarify, because her concerns regarding that the parts, for example, on paycheck, she's concerned that item I does not apply to the loan. Item J does not apply to the loan. Item K does not apply to the loan. And it doesn't apply to the loans because those terms are strictly under the line of credit. And those securities or whatever terms and conditions pertaining to the loan would have to be separately treated and agreed by MPOT and the municipality, to include other stuff like hold harmless or when the loans are going to be paid. The 30 days doesn't apply to them unless they agree to it. And those are going to be based on the terms and conditions that's agreed by MPOT and the respective municipalities.
Thank you, Council, for your clarification. Any other comments from the members? Recognize Senator Karina Magofnia.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Senator Babauta, for raising and sharing your concerns with regards to the bill as we have in front of us. I just wanted to, I guess, provide some clarity with Section J on page 8. I completely understand your concern. I think to help clarify, it is logical to deduce that in order for the Secretary of Finance to prepare and issue the quarterly summary of the MPOT loan report, that it would have to communicate with the respective municipalities to obtain their expenditures report before she can even prepare her own. So I just maybe it's not clear so much on the bill itself, but I just wanted to share some insight that in order for the Secretary of Finance to prepare and issue her report, that she would have to get the needed information and documents from the respective municipalities. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Magofnia. Let me recognize online Senator Carl Neighbors.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you to the members of Vice Chair President Maloney, Senator Mendola, as well as the legal counsel and our good floor leader. My apologies. Yes, correct. There are. Thank you guys for bearing with me. I apologize. There are obviously some difference between the line of credit and then the loan. That is a significant distinction to make. There was great care. I know Vice President Magnolia had reached out to the other stakeholders, being MPLT as well as CIP, and we met several times over the course of several months to dialogue on how best we could language some of what we were trying to accomplish in that section of the legislation. And I believe that all the parties agreed on the language that is currently being proposed, along with the amendments that I will be making here shortly, to kind of accommodate and facilitate the parameters of the distinctions between the line of credit and the loan. So to Senator Babalta's concerns, we try to language those agreements in a manner that gave the municipalities latitude to come to terms that best fit their municipal needs, and that would also allow for MPLT and the other stakeholders to feel confident endeavoring in that loan altogether. I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Carl Neighbors, for your comments. I now recognize Senator Selena Babauta.
Thank you. Thank you for all your input. First, as to the legal counsel's statements, that it will have to be a separate agreement between MPLT and the municipalities. I think there should be a provision, at least in the bill, to make that clear, because that is totally absent in this bill. HB 2395 HS1 SS2 is what I have before me. As to the reporting requirements, thank you, Senator Magofnia, but I beg to differ. Section 102 is strictly about the line of credit, and in fact, that is the category. This is with respect to the Section J. that the MPLT loan report, the Secretary of Finance will have to communicate with the respective municipalities in order to create this MPLT loan report to the members of the legislature and the public auditor and the Office of the Attorney General. This particular section is strictly about the line of credit, and it does not touch upon the loan for the municipalities. So the Secretary of Finance will not necessarily communicate with the municipalities in order to report the project advances and status of the line of credit. As alluded to by Senator King Neighbors as well, the agreements will have to be, and the council will have to be established between the municipalities and MPLT. And with respect to Amendment 25 of the Constitution, and that is why that agreement has to be established among the municipalities, and the Secretary of Finance will not necessarily or does not have authority to follow up or check on the municipalities as to what their financial reporting is on the projects related to the $2 million loan. And with respect to Senator King Neighbors, his statement about the distinction between a line of credit and a loan, and I argued this in a previous committee meeting, that this bill is a two-subject bill in violation of the Constitution of the Commonwealth. I think that the line of credit should be a different bill from the loan. And I've made the argument in the past, they're totally two distinct financial mechanisms to get upfront financing for the projects. In this particular case, the projects for the EDA and other CIP projects in the municipality. And those are my counter arguments to what has been presented. Thank you, and I yield.
Thank you, Senator Babauta. I recognize legal counsel.
I agree with partly with what you mentioned on item J. It's probably better if it reads that the one in parentheses should be MPLT line of credit report. But yeah, it would read better, and it's straightforward, and it only applies to the line of credit. If we change the word loan to LOC, because we're mixing the word loan with the municipality loan. So maybe when we get to the bill, we'll change that word loan to line LOC report. Because the other report with respect to them will have to be totally separate and apart from the line of credit.
Thank you, counsel, for your clarification and comments. I now recognize Senator Francisco Cruz.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Council. But that's the reason why this is the recommendation of MPLT to instead of line of credit, the municipality should be under loan. And I know that it's two separate. It's line of credit and loan in one bill. But the reason why we requested for that is because we cannot comply with that 30 days with the line of credit because we don't have EDA. That's the reason why we requested, and MPOT suggested that it can be done, but it's under loan. But they never mention about it cannot be in one bill. They just said can be negotiated that municipality should be under a loan instead of line of credit. Because I mentioned in the past that if 702 funds, CIP funds, can be a payment plan, similar to EDA reimbursement, then we'll go with that. But since there is an issue with the CIP, with the NEPA process, it's not going to take 30 days. It takes over 3 years, even for a municipality project under CIP. It takes over 3 years before they start pushing forward the project. So it is impossible to comply with the 30 days provision that is in the bill for payment. So I don't know, Council, is if this is not, or this is on in violation of the Constitution, why this was not addressed in the committee level, so that everyone will understand and not come to this point that we're going to proceed forward with what we have right now and the amendment that Senator Carr is going to propose this morning. I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Cruz. I now recognize legal counsel.
Okay, let me address the one subject rule. The umbrella of the entire bill, the main gist of the bill is to allow for a public debt. The loan and the line of credit falls under that subject, allowing the debt for the LOC and the loan. So I don't think it's a violation of the Constitution, because the subject is the allowing the public debt, which is the line of credit and the loans for the municipalities.
Thank you, counsel. Recognize Senator Magofnia.
Thank you, Madam President. And the two items that I wanted to do follow-up questions on were kind of already answered. I just wanted to rationalize my comment earlier regarding the MPOT loan report. As Senator Rabauta shared with us, it is a concern that it's not applicable to both municipalities, but as I read Section J, it does talk about loan. And I believe Council Bermudez has already addressed that by proposing or recommending that we change the term loan, right, on line 6 to line of credit. So that addresses my comment. The second comment that I wanted to follow up with was in regards to her question regarding the constitutionality of the bill itself, but I believe you've already kind of addressed that. But just to be clear and on the record, is it unconstitutional to council?
Thank you, Senator Magofnia. Recognize counsel.
Based on the opinion I just rendered, it doesn't violate the Constitution.
Thank you, counsel. I recognize Senator Selena Babauta.
Thank you. I beg to differ, counsel. The original bill, this is or proposes to amend, is a line of credit bill. This amendment, in the title itself, it says to repeal and reenact Public Law 2312 and for other purposes. It does not, in this title, include a provision to attach a loan as a rider on a line of credit bill. And as we, I think, can agree to at this point, that line of credit and loans are two very distinct mechanisms of financing. They are calculated differently. A line of credit allows the borrower to continually tap into this without having to take out another loan. The interest, depending on when you pay back that drawdown, the interest is compounded daily, whereas a loan, the interest on that is amortized over the term of the loan. There are two very separate and distinct mechanisms of financing, and I don't see anything in this substitute that would make me agree with the council's opinion that it is not a two subject bill. The title itself simply says to repeal and reenact. And at this point, there was a rider inserted in to have a loan for the municipalities. And I think that should be a separate bill. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Babauta. I recognize Senator Carr Neighbors.
Thank you, Madam President. I was just going to ask if I could politely ask for a short recess.
Before we take a short recess, let me just recognize Senator Magofnia.
Thank you, Madam President. I believe in our committee meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, Chair, but I believe we did discuss the title, which, it is a valid concern that she brings up. But I believe we discussed that we were gonna make some changes to the title to include the term loan, because she does have a point, with regards to Public Law 23-12. It's strictly a line of credit. But I believe we, had some discussions on that from in our committee meeting. So I'm not sure. I don't see it in the revised budget, but perhaps that's something that we can discuss and consider putting it on the bill if that would help move the bill forward. Thank you. I yield, Madam Chair, Madam President.
Uh, Thank you, Senator Magofnia. Council, briefly on the title of a bill for an act to repeal and reenact Public Law 23-12 and for other purposes.
The title in any bill is it's like a reference point, and it doesn't really describe the text of the bill and the term there and for other purposes, because sometimes the bill is so huge or it addresses a lot of issues and you can't fit it in the title. That's why that phrase and for other purposes. So I think that's a catch-all phrase that takes everything into account. We may change the title, but to me, I think for other purposes, again, the title is a reference. It's not the law. The law is in the text of the act or the bill.
You, Council, and we're going to take a short recess, but briefly, I'm going to make a comment that the ceiling of the debt does not move from 15 million. It still stays within the confines of the $15 million original intent of borrowing. The administration wanted 20. After MPOT evaluated everything, they went down to 15. So obviously, the 15 ceiling of the debt does not move any more than a penny. The other, I want to call out on the current proposed legislation for repeal and reenactment, and we're going to go into recess after this for more conversation. On page 7, if it's going to provide any comfort to ourselves and also the viewing public, on item G, because the revolving line of credit and the respective loans collectively is the word, is a public debt, this legislation must be passed by 2/3 of the members of the House of Representatives and the Senate before being signed into law. Further, the obligation for such a public debt shall not exceed 10% of the total appraised value of the properties of the Commonwealth, so that the Secretary of Finance shall not execute the revolving line of credit until the Secretary of Finance certifies with the concurrence of the Attorney General that this constitutional requirement is satisfied. In other words, even if we muster through this, the 2/3, and it's signed into law, without the certification of the Attorney General with respect to the 10% limitation of public debt on the appraised values collectively of the land valuations of the Commonwealth, nothing's going to get drawn down. Short recess, please. from our short recess. And we are still discussing Standing Committee Report number 23-74 for its adoption. Any further comments from the members? None? All those in favor say aye. Nays? Standing Committee Report number 23-74 is hereby adopted. Moving on to going back to item K of the agenda, pre-filed bills, initiatives, local bills, and resolutions. I shall recognize myself, Senator Edith De Leon Guerrero, for Senate Legislative Initiative number 23-03, to present to the voters in the Commonwealth in the next general election the question, shall there be a constitutional convention to propose amendments to the Constitution? Secondly, under Senate Resolution number 23-15, to promote e-commerce with tax benefits in order to attract internet-based businesses and other new industries to the CNMI. And number 3, Senate Bill number 23-59, authored by myself as well, to authorize a straw poll or vote for the President and Vice President of the United States on the ballot at CNMI general elections and for other purposes. I now recognize Senator Donald M. Magnolia for his Senate Joint Resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. Introducing Senate Joint Resolution 23-8 to provide 3 additional NOPs for the CNMI Cannabis Commission, which are critical and necessary positions for the commission to satisfy its statutory mandate to regulate the cannabis industry. At this time, Madam Press, I would request if the floor leader can place this on calendar.
Thank you, Senator Donald M. Magnolia, and I shall now recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President and members, if there are no objections, I'd like to place Senate Joint Resolution 23-8 on today's calendar for action. Thank you.
Is there any objections from the members? No objections. So Senate Resolution 2308 is hereby placed under item O of the agenda under resolution calendar for action today. Moving on to item L, introduction of bills, initiatives, local bills, and resolutions. Any members? None. Moving on. Item N, reports of special conference committees. There is none. Item O, resolution calendar. I now recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Under item O, we have Senate Joint Resolution 23-08 to provide 3 additional NOPs for the CNMI Cannabis Commission, which are critical and necessary positions for the commission to satisfy its statutory mandate to regulate the cannabis industry. Members, I move for its adoption.
There's a motion to adopt Senate Joint Resolution 23-08 and has been seconded. All those in favor say aye. Nays? Senate Joint Resolution number 2308 is hereby adopted. Moving on to item P of the agenda under bill calendar, I now recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Under item P, we have 1 bill on the calendar for action, House Bill number 23-95, HS1 SS2, to repeal and reenact Public Law 23-12 and for other purposes. Madam President, I move for its passage.
There's a motion to pass House Bill number 23-95, HS1, SS2, and has been seconded. Any discussions from the members?
Madam President.
Recognize Senator Carl Neighbors.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a couple of floor amendments I would like to offer to the body. I believe everyone has a copy of the proposed amendments to this Senate substitute. If I may begin, if there's no objections.
You may
from the
proceed.
members. Thank you. On page 2, beginning line 12, it basically is we're just changing the 10.7 million to reflect the current balance of $8.9 million and also the date of June 2023 to reflect the date of February 7th, 2024. The next amendment will be on page 5, and that is to remove the language stating loan of $2 million public debt authorized, of which $1 million for each senatorial district to fund infrastructure projects has been removed. The added language to this section is this debt authorization shall also apply to a loan of $2 million of public debt authorization, of which $1 million each for the first and second senatorial districts to fund infrastructure projects through an agreement with MPLT and the respective mayors. The next amendment will be on page 9, line 10, to insert the subsection L to read, the Commonwealth hereby pledges to appropriate the sum not to exceed $13 million as a security for the line of credit for the future interest income distributions into the CNMI General Fund by the MPL, the Marianas Public Land Trust, starting fiscal year FY24, and authorizes the withholding of such distributions for future fiscal years for payment and as security in the event of any default to satisfy any delinquent or default amount owed by the CNMI government, for MPLT to withhold such distributions until such time as fully reimbursed and or the revolving line of credit with the Commonwealth Department of Finance is fully satisfied and retired. Any withholding of interest income distribution shall be separate from the prior authorization withholding for U2 loan for which MPLT is currently withholding distributions until fully repaid. Moving on page 10, beginning line 1, subsection 103 is amended to read. Inserted the language additional on subsection 103, additional interest withholding appropriation is the title on section A. In addition to subsection 102L, the Commonwealth is basically just to remove and reflect the change of the $15 million line of credit to read 13 and $2 million is a loan of MPLT to be furnished whenever the U2 loan is fully paid, whichever comes first. So it basically allows for the interest income distribution of the CNMI General Fund by the Marianas Public Land Trust starting fiscal year FY27 or whenever U2 loan is fully paid, whichever comes first, and authorizes the withholding as security in the event of any default to satisfy any delinquent or default amount owed by the respective municipalities for MPLT. So that's just to reflect the changes of the revolving line of credit and identifying the municipalities as the loan, who will be receiving the $1 million loan. Furthermore, on section B, on that same area, the infrastructure projects, we added language in section B that will read: the infrastructure projects for the first and senatorial districts participating or benefiting from a loan with the MPLT not to exceed the debt authorization under section 101. As a condition of the loan participation, the respective mayor shall agree to be bound by the MPLT terms and conditions in writing, such as through a memorandum of understanding, contract, promissory note, including but not limited to an agreement fixed on an annual interest rate, but not to exceed 7.5 interest on that. After that, the language will read: the cumulative interest accrued with the principal may be paid when the U2 loan is satisfied. And then the loan agreement between MPLT and respective mayors shall be funded by the loan, shall be provided through resolution from the respective legislative delegations. On page 11, line 9, on section 104 on the title, additional EDA funded, we removed and other CIP projects. And then we just removed the section altogether on page 11, beginning line 19, subsection C. That whole entry was deleted. So it's just to basically put into words what the committee had agreed upon in the dialogues and discussions with MPLT and the other stakeholders. And I would like to also put, consistent with the intent of the foregoing amendments, I would hereby also like to move to allow the legal counsels together with Senate Clerk to make further non-substantive technical amendments that are strictly necessary to effectuate the intent of the floor amendment prior to transmitting. I so move.
Thank you, Senator Carl. Any further amendments from the members? None? With the numerous amendments proposed by Senator Carl and has been seconded, all those in favor say aye. Nays?
Aye.
The proposed amendments is hereby adopted by the Senate body. I now recognize the floor leader to make the proper motion for the passage of House Bill number 2395 HS1, SS2 as amended.
Thank you, Madam President. Short recess, please.
Short
Sorry.
recess.
Thank you.
We're back from short recess. I now recognize the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, I would like to offer a motion for passage on House Bill number 23-95, HS1, SS2 as amended. So move.
There's a motion to pass House Bill number 23-95, HS1, SS2 as amended and has been seconded. Clerk, please call the roll. Short recess. We're back from our short recess. So there's a motion to pass House Bill number 23-95, HS1, SS2 as amended has been seconded. Discussions from the members. Recognize Senator Selena Babauta.
Thank you, Madam President. Senator King Neighbors, could you clarify that the amendments you have just, that we have just adopted are specifically with respect to amendment number 5 on page 10, line 2, that it is an interest deferred loan for the municipalities, as previously discussed in the committee? Would you clarify that?
Yes, if I may, Madam President.
Recognize Senator Carl Maynard. Neighbors.
Yeah, I believe the language, so the language is changed from shall to may, so that in the event the two parties are able to come to terms with that, that I guess that particular part of the interest payment mechanism, that language was put there so that they could make that determination on themselves, in respect to quote unquote the deferment of payment of interest. Correct? Am I answering your question correctly?
You're trying to, but I don't see a may clause here. One. Oh, okay. I think I need new glasses, but thank you for clarifying that. So the loan will be availed of the immediately upon signing of this bill into law, but the interest is subject to an agreement between the municipalities and MPLT. Is that correct?
I will defer to legal counsel, but my reading and understanding of what this intends is that those decisions will be made between the mayors of the municipalities and MPLT after their discussions on the terms of an agreement, terms and conditions of the agreement.
Counsel?
Thank you, Senator Babauta, and thank you, Senator Carl Neighbors. I now recognize the legal counsel.
The answer to your question is yes. Something your question was about deferred interest. Okay. They may not avail of the loan right away. They can wait 2, 3 years, 4 years, but the interest will only kick in once they get the money. It doesn't start when this act becomes a bill until they come to the table. MPLT and the municipalities come to the table. They agree to it, all the terms, everything, and then when they MPLT releases the money, that's the starting point of the accrual of the interest.
So
That's my
when,
understanding as well.
so if this discussion between the municipalities and MPLT, and you guys come to an agreement to take the loan now, the interest, according to the council, will kick in immediately. But it cannot be paid with the interest income that secures it based on this bill, because they're still withholding that for the U2 loan. So it is an interest deferred loan if they choose to avail of the 1 million upon signing of this. Is that correct?
I'm not an accountant, but I think I understand what you're saying. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Council, if I may, I think.
Recognize Senator Carl Neighbors.
If I may, thank you. That the way we language it was to allow for them to have that conversation. In the event that it is not on the table, then obviously MPLT will make that term and agreement part of their condition, and that will be a part of the loan. So yes, in our discussion with MPLT, whenever the respective senatorial districts do decide to avail of the $1 million, that will trigger the date of the interest accrued. Now, what we're talking about possible deferred payment of interest, I believe is that part of the negotiation between MPLT and the senatorials. I don't think the language that we put in said yay or nay. It just gave flexibility for the possibility to be entertained through the dialogue of the negotiation. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Carl Neighbors, and I'll recognize Senator Donald Maglonia.
Thank you, Madam President. Just to add on to that discussion, initially the amendment was that it had the term "shall be paid by" the interest income, but we scratched that off and replaced it with "may" in the event that MPLT agrees that we can defer the interest until such time the interest income becomes available. But then again, like what Senator Carl has mentioned, it's flexible in that sense where if the municipality wants to avail of the loan now, then they may be able to pay the interest on it through local revenues if that's one of the options that the district chooses. Another option is that we simply wait till U2 is paid off, and then that's when we avail of the loan. But it's just that authorization right now that we're getting in the event the municipality decides to avail of the loan and both parties agrees to the terms and conditions of that. But again, this will all be up to how MPLT would feel about this investment and when they can get the return on this investment. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Donald Maglonia. Any further comments? No? Okay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Babalta,
Yes.
Senator Cruz,
Yes.
Senator King Neighbors,
Yes.
Senator Magofnia,
Hungan.
Senator Maglonia Donald,
Yes.
Senator Mindiola. Madam President,
Yes.
Madam President, all 7 members voting yes.
In order for us to pass House Bill number 2395 HS1 SS2 as amended, it requires 2/3 of this body, and we casted 7 votes. Therefore, it has passed House Bill number 2395 HS1 SS2 as amended, hereby passes the Senate. Moving on to item Q, petitions, memorials, and miscellaneous communications. There is none. Announcements. Any announcements, senators? None. I now recognize the floor leader. Recognize Senator Magofnia for announcement.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to let the members know and the public that we are having a joint committee meeting tomorrow at the House Chamber with the House Committee on Gaming to give the casino commissioners an opportunity to provide us with some status updates on their current affairs and the opportunity to have a Q&A session at the same time. So that will be tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the House Chamber. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Magofnia. I now recognize the floor leader for the proper adjournment of this session.
Thank you, Madam President. I offer a motion to adjourn this session subject to the call of the president.
There's a motion to adjourn this session. It has been seconded. All those in favor say aye. Nays, this session is hereby adjourned. Thank you, senators.